How's it going, folks? Hope you're all doing well and hopefully having a great day. I wanted to sort of make a follow-up video on the previous one where, we talked about Yakuza Kiwami 3, the hashtag with Kagwa and all of that. I intend for this to just be like a casual conversation between, content creator and viewer, or maybe even like a catching up video between you and me. But I just wanted to like briefly talk about like some unfortunate things that I've seen in like the past couple of weeks, whether you're like fully supporting the Kagwa movement or for whatever reason, you have anything to say about it. There's just a lot of unfortunate posts, comments, thoughts, opinions, arguments that I've come across in these past few weeks that, they either have people completely like doom posting, like everything is all over, nothing is going to be the same ever again. And, if it got to that point for you, fair enough. Maybe you will find something else that will help you move on. I don't know, maybe you want to just completely move on to another franchise, and hey, if that's what's going to do it for you, fair enough. If you really find trouble, like still staying a fan of this franchise, then nobody can stop you. But I'm here to echo the sentiment that, just because a studio or a company made a decision that you're not standing with, it doesn't mean you have to completely sever all of your ties and connections to the franchise, to the fan base, to, everything that has to do with a certain franchise. If I were to ask you right now to think of pretty much anything that you're interested in, video game, movie, show, like whatever it is, and if I were to ask you, how many disagreeable things has the company of that thing you love has done? I'm sure that with at least a couple of your favorite stuff, you will be able to think of one or two things. For example, one of my biggest gripes with RGG Studio, as a lot of you know, is that at some point, they started to charge for New Game Plus, and they didn't just charge for it, they were straight up asking for almost $20 of you, I believe. And not only that, but they didn't really even go out of their way to implement a lot of quality of life in New Game Plus that you were paying for. Like, man, it would have been amazing if they allowed you to skip Dondoko Island on replays, just to, throw an idea out. But also the fact that your Dondoko Island setup gets wiped on replays is diabolical. And to my knowledge, you don't even have the option of just resetting your layout the way it was in your previous playthrough. You will keep your items, but you can't restore the same layout that you had. I didn't like that. I was pretty vocal about it. I made, I think, not just one video, but at least two videos about the whole thing, and that was only with Infinite Wealth. I was pretty clear about how much I disliked the decision, but at the end of the day, it was a game that I was looking forward to, so I, of course, was going to play it. But of course, that doesn't stop some absolute smooth brains from going, okay, so you dislike this aspect about the game? Well, it's either you cut your ties with the game or yeah, like you're a hypocrite. And it's hard for me to grasp that kind of mentality because if I had to sever my ties with everything that I had a problem with, despite enjoying whatever that thing is, I would be out of things to play or watch. Capcom, for example, makes some of my favorite single-player games ever, with the mainline Resident Evil games and their remakes, but oh my god, do they drop the ball with the multiplayer games. I don't like Resistance, I don't like Reverse, I don't like Umbrella Corps. Like, even setting aside all the Kagawa stuff, all the New Game Plus stuff, I think every single one of us has had at least one gripe about any given Yakuza game. Now, because of that gripe, did we cut our ties with the franchise? Did we suddenly drop the franchise? Well, most of us haven't. I mean, sure, I guess if something irked you so much to the point where you dropped the franchise, I mean, you probably wouldn't be here watching this right now. But I'm talking to those of you who had a problem with a game or two games or just like, I don't know, multiple games, but there's still something about the games that you continue to enjoy, so you're still here. The idea that, okay, if you don't like this, then just stop playing it is so asinine to me. I feel like it's one thing if the franchise is getting you to a point where you're just feeling miserable, then sure, maybe drop the franchise, move on, find something else that, makes you feel better. But if you're clearly still having fun with the franchise, but, you just happen to have a gripe or two or a few or even multiple, then I don't see what's the problem with that. The fact remains that, despite everything, despite what I believe, despite what you believe, the fact that RGG Studio hired Kagawa to, be Hamazaki is now just going to be this like weird stain in the history of RGG. People may look back on it, you might find it in future icebergs, you might find it in future video essays by some random person on YouTube. The irony about all of this is that when I enjoy games like Pirate Yakuza, for example, I'd be called a shill. Even though I was very clear about the problems that I had with Pirate Yakuza. And now, when I talk about the Kagawa thing, for example, or again, like the New Game Plus thing, or just whatever, I get called well, not like a certain word, but it's basically the opposite, where I'm like not a real fan and I should stop playing the games because like there's an aspect or two that I'm not a fan of. So then, bearing all of this in mind, which side of the fence am I on here? Like, goddamn, do you guys remember when the last drama we had in the community was just Pirate Yakuza? And how much of a meltdown that caused in the community, even though it's just like an appetizer game, like just to keep us occupied for whatever is to come next? I think I lost count of the amount of times, and not just me, I'm sure like a lot of you have seen stuff like this in the past, I don't know how many years, but you would see posts or discussions about how, for example, the writing of RGG has fallen downhill, you know, like in the past X years, or X and Y game are just so horrible and, you know, things have changed and they will never be the same again. My first thought when I see something like that isn't to immediately jump on the person and tell them, okay, stop playing the games or you're a hypocrite. It would be something more along the lines of, all right, well, I see where you're coming from, and that's the end of that. If we have a problem with a game franchise, it doesn't matter what it is. It's only right for us to criticize that problem, right? And talk about it, and, you know, maybe even make videos about it. Again, referring back to my New Game Plus video, I didn't like that. I made a video about it. And the dumb thing is, even with that issue, like the New Game Plus issue, I had people telling me, okay, if you play the game, then you're a hypocrite. And in my head, I'm just thinking, why? Like, that is just so dumb of a thing to say, I don't even know where to start. It's the equivalent of me playing a game on stream and somebody in chat saying, oh, I didn't like, I don't know, Majima's writing in this game. And I'm just like, okay, don't play a single RGG game from now on, you two-faced lying son of a bitch. It's like, what the fuck, bro? No, the way I see it is that people are allowed to talk about, you know, whatever it is that they don't like, because the end goal here is that, you know, for a company to do better, whether it's for writing, for DLC decisions, for castings, whatever, it doesn't matter. Honestly, at this point, I would just take like a statement from RGG Studio saying, and I've seen others echo the statement, by the way, which is why I'm kind of making this video. Okay, guys, listen. Kago is a changed man. Give him a chance, and yeah, we'll see where we go from there. I would take that over whatever they're doing right now, because what they're doing right now is essentially they're hiding comments from people, banning people from, you know, being able to comment on like YouTube or whatever. And it's just like the kind of thing that is so easily avoidable. It's inconceivable that they're handling it the way they are right now. Like, damn, bro, you don't have to do all of that. Just put like 2 sentences, 3 sentences where you're just saying, okay, we hear you guys, just trust us on this. And on the topic of unfortunate things, I've also seen people that are actively going after people who are just saying that they're still gonna buy the game regardless. And to me, it's just like, okay, what are you doing here? If you have a problem with a franchise, whatever it might be, I personally think that the best way to go about it is to spread the word and just see how many people agree with you. Talk about it on social media, make a video or 2 about it, you know, the usual. Forcing people to see it your way is just not gonna go well. You're very likely just gonna make the other person resent you and refuse to see like what you're even standing for. Like hell, I've even seen some people trying to involve the voice actors in all of what's going on. Like, oh, no, don't do that. RGG Studio is banning people from YouTube, as far as I know, that post a hashtag on their live chats. But you still have the means through like their Twitter posts, their videos. And above all, you really don't have to be an asshole about it. You can absolutely make your voice heard without calling names, without, you know, all of that. Moral of the story, you can still be a fan of something even though you're disappointed with one or multiple decisions of a company. It's not a crime to want a company that you love or loved to do better. A lot of us may have fond memories with the games of that company. A lot of us may have even grown up playing the games from that company. And goddamn, you know things are fucked when the guy who plays this franchise for a living is the one telling you that it's okay to stop every now and then and criticize something about the franchise.